So friends, Donald Trump's lawyers just filed a flurry of bogus motions across several of Donald Trump's criminal cases, perhaps in an attempt to distract from a pretty shocking revelation regarding Donald Trump compromising our national security. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Donald Trump's lawyers just filed a blizzard of frivolous motions. And I have to wonder if they did it to distract from a pretty shocking news story, a revelation. And this one is shocking even when measured in units of Trump outrageousness. Let's take on the frivolous motions first. This headline from CNN: Trump urges New York judge to dismiss hush money case. Now, friends, you'll recall this is the case that was brought against Donald Trump, a criminal prosecution by District Attorney Alvin Bragg for Donald Trump falsifying tons of business records, dozens of felony charges, and this was Donald Trump's effort to cover up deeply damaging information about playmates and porn stars, right? Trying to hide information from the American voters to gain unfair advantage in the 2016 presidential election, in a very real sense, robbing us, we the people, the voters, of the full value of our vote. That's what this case is about. And I'll spare you the details. I'm not even going to read from the article, but basically, Donald Trump said that the judge should just dismiss this case, just throw it out entirely, because, you know, this prosecution, people trying to hold him accountable for his crimes, really represents election interference. So just go ahead and throw it out entirely, Your Honor. That is frivolous motion number one. Here's frivolous motion number two, this from the Associated Press. Headline: Trump's lawyers seek to postpone his classified documents trial until after the 2024 election. And that article reads in part: in a motion filed late Wednesday, Trump's lawyers urged U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump-appointed judge, to push back the trial until at least mid-November 2024. The presidential election is set for November 5th, 2024. You know, friends, this is really Donald Trump engaging in election interference by trying to have his prosecution for unlawfully possessing and retaining classified documents, national defense information, some of our country's most closely guarded secrets, obstructing justice by violating a subpoena and refusing to return that classified information. Oh, and violating our nation's espionage laws. Donald Trump wants to push this till just after the presidential election, which would actually deprive the American voters of the following information: knowing when they went to the polls in November of 2024, whether they were voting for, if they were going to cast their vote for Donald Trump, assuming he's the nominee, whether they were voting for a convicted felon who was guilty of mishandling classified information, obstructing justice, and violating our nation's espionage laws, or a completely innocent man who's been fully exonerated, found not guilty by a Florida jury on all counts. That's really Donald Trump interfering in the election. That would be frivolous defense motion number two. Okay, let's turn to frivolous defense motion number three. This one was filed in federal court in Washington, D.C. by Trump's lawyers in his criminal prosecution for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. This is the case that Judge Tanya Chutkin is presiding over. This is the case in which she's about to take up the issue of a gag order for Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump's lawyers just filed a motion to just dismiss this case in its entirety. Just throw it out. Here's the headline from NBC News. Efforts to overturn the 2020 election were part of Trump's official duties, his lawyers argue. That article begins, former President Donald Trump on Thursday argued in a court filing that he should be shielded from prosecution in the 2020 election interference case because of presidential immunity, claiming his efforts to overturn his election loss and remain in the White House were at the heart of his official responsibilities as president. Now, friends, I'm not even going to bother sharing with you any of Trump's 50-plus page brief legal filing because, as I was reading it earlier today, I think if the people sitting around me listened really closely, they could probably hear my brain cells dying and hitting the floor. That's how idiotic, how frivolous this particular motion is. But let's move on now to what it is that Trump and company might really be trying to distract us all from. This from ABC News. Headline, Trump allegedly discussed U.S. nuclear subs with foreign national after leaving White House. And that article begins, months after leaving the White House, former President Donald Trump allegedly discussed potentially sensitive information about U.S. nuclear submarines with a member of his Mar-a-Lago club, an Australian billionaire who then allegedly shared the information with scores of others, including more than a dozen foreign officials, several of his own employees, and a handful of journalists, according to sources familiar with the matter. The potential disclosure was reported to Special Counsel Jack Smith's team as they investigated Trump's alleged hoarding of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. The information could shed further light on Trump's handling of sensitive government secrets. Prosecutors and FBI agents have at least twice this year interviewed the Mar-a-Lago member, Anthony Pratt, who runs U.S.-based Pratt Industries, one of the world's largest packaging companies. In those interviews, Pratt described how, looking to make conversation with Trump during a meeting at Mar-a-Lago in April 2021, he brought up the American submarine fleet, which the two had discussed before. According to Pratt's account, as described by the sources, Pratt told Trump he believed Australia should start buying its submarines from the United States. Get this, friends. To which an excited Trump, leaning toward Pratt as if to be discreet, then told Pratt two pieces of information about the U.S. submarines: the supposed exact number of nuclear warheads they routinely carry, and exactly how close they supposedly can get to a Russian submarine without being detected. Maybe that is what Donald Trump and his lawyers were trying to distract our attention from by filing bogus motion after bogus motion after bogus motion across nearly all of his criminal cases. That kind of deeply disturbing, shocking, outrageous compromising of our nation's security, for which Donald Trump must be held accountable. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.